How's it going, everyone? This one's going to be a barbed wire, just a simple barbed wire tutorial. It's going to be showing you how you can use symbols to make your designing of barbed wire just that bit more simple. We're going to create a base of a barbed wire shape that we're going to duplicate throughout the scene, and then we're going to be able to change those barbed wire shapes after the fact. Say you want them a little bit more pointy or with less details on the inside. This way you don't have to go back through and redraw everything. So I've just started off with a simple pen tool with a line thickness, I think, of 2. And it's got a fill of white. I've created the first point and I've moved on to the next tubular point, and I'm just going to duplicate this and shift it across a couple times. So now we've got this sort of thing going on. I'm going to go back over to the spike, and I'm going to duplicate the spike over to the other side using the mirror flip tools. So with the black cursor selected, I can move it across, and up the top you'll see a reflected icon. If you click on that and click flip, it will flip it. I'm not too good with my understanding of which way is the correct way to flip it, but you cycle through them a few times and you get the one that you're looking for, and that's what I got. And from previous tutorials, you remember that the next duplication always lands on top of the previous shape, so that's why I started with that back spike first and went to this closest spike. When I do create the other spikes, I will be dragging those to the back of the stack just so that they're behind these shapes, which I might be doing here. So I have selected the shape, I duplicated it, and I'm going to be filling it with black. So that's a black shape sitting on top of a white shape. I drag it to the back of the stack, and I will be flipping it. So now you see it. Rotate. No, I'm throwing this one over to the other side. Getting it into position. You'll see with the next spike that I create, I sort of make it a bit smaller as well, just to give the illusion that it's sitting behind or further away in perspective than the other spikes are. So I just shrink that down a little bit. So now we've got our basic barbed wire shape, and I'm going to go and click into the little tubes in the center. I'm going to pull up on that little icon, that's the shift. So if you shift select all of them and group them together, now all of my circular tubular shapes are grouped together. With the group selected, I drag a gradient through, and it applies it to all shapes within that group, and that's why that works. And then I click on each spikes and apply a gradient to each one of those by themselves, just so I have more control over where the highlights are sitting and where the shadows are sitting. So now we have our basic shape here, and by this point I should be selecting everything. Didn't quite select everything, so I go into my menu and I shift select all of my shapes, group them together, and there's a yin yang type symbol down the right, and if you click on that, it'll bring up the symbols panel. You click up the top, it says add symbol from selection, and click that symbol, click insert symbol, and then you can start duplicating them around your scene. So now I've sort of placed them in space kind of where I want to. I've not really got any distinct design in mind. I'm just sort of showing how this could be used if you want to twist them around a love heart shape or around a character or something like that. You'd of course use this process, but apply it to whatever you're doing. So I've got these where I need them. I've created a new layer and put it behind all of them, and this is where I'm going to draw my wire. So the pencil tool remembered the gradient from the last selection, so I have to remove that gradient. And this is my wire shape, and I drag it through some of the points that it needs to be going. And I'm going to make this line a white line and apply a line effect around it. So now the line is white. I'm going into the effect panel, expanding the line from the outline effect, and then I'm going to go into the line, and down the bottom where it says pressure, I'm tapering out the ends on each side of the thing, so it makes, sort of spiky point on the wire, which sometimes happens. It makes it feel a bit sharper. So I'm quickly duplicating this line, so now all of the same settings from this line are carried over to its duplicate, and I'm just dragging it out, and all of a sudden you get that winded look around around your coils, around your, what are they called? Yeah, your spiky boys. Um, so yeah, basically at this point you've done with your barbed wire. I've done an extra credit thing here. Well, this is me just fixing the line width around them because the barbed wire has a little bit more thickness than the wire does, so I'm just going and correcting that real quick. But yeah, you can apply shading to these lines if you click on the gradient tool and look up the top near some of the options up the top. It's got a regular fill option, and then it has a fill. Here I'm just demonstrating, sorry, just quickly, how all of them are editable. All of your, if you want more spikiness on your barbed wire, you can just drag out and change one, and they're all going to update simultaneously. So if you want to do shading, the shading a little bit different, more realistic maybe, or more traditional, you can just go through and do that. So now I'll be going into my gradient, clicking the line gradient, and this is important, and it might not be for every single case, but I've chose the conical gradient, which means that I can point a direction where I want the darkness and the lightness to shoot off to, and I'm directing each gradient point towards each barbed wire head so that it looks as though the wire is falling into darkness as it goes in and out of the barbed wire points, and it creates this 3D-ish sort of effect. So I'm just going to go through and do this around the whole thing. If you were more, if you want more control over where these shadows lie inside the wire, probably a better technique to do would be to expand the stroke of the line so that it turns into an object. You want as much control over posing where the line sits, but you can put objects inside the wire shape, like black and then Gaussian blur in those areas where the barbed wire is sitting, and you will be able to have a bit more control over where the shadows are sitting in the wire. But this is just my quick workaround for the tutorial. It was just the way that I did it, so deal with it. But there you go. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you next time.